My lover only visited at night, his touch cold as marble, his eyes dark as the sea. Promise me you'll never ask where I go at dawn, he pleaded. One morning, I followed a trail of wilting roses to the cemetery, and found his name on a cracked tombstone, engraved with the words, "Beloved, but never buried." That evening, he knocked on my window, smiling. "Now you know. Will you still love me?" I moved to Charleston, South Carolina, in the spring of 2019. The city had a charm that was hard to resist: cobblestone streets, historic homes, and the scent of jasmine in the air. I rented a small apartment in an old building near the Battery, overlooking the harbor. It was peaceful, the kind of place where one could start anew. I was recovering from a painful breakup and needed a change. Charleston seemed like the perfect place to heal. I spent my days exploring the city, visiting art galleries, and sipping sweet tea at local cafes. Life was simple, and for a while, that was enough. The first encounter one night, as I sat on my balcony, a cool breeze rustled the leaves of the magnolia tree below. The moon cast a silvery glow over the harbor. I felt a presence, subtle yet undeniable. Turning, I saw him standing at the edge of the balcony. He was tall, with dark hair and eyes that seemed to hold the depth of the ocean. His skin was pale, almost translucent, and his touch was cold, like marble. Yet, there was warmth in his gaze, a familiarity that made me feel safe. We talked for hours, about everything and nothing. He never told me his name, and I didn't ask. It felt like we had known each other forever. When dawn approached, he stood to leave. "Promise me you'll never ask where I go at dawn," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I nodded, too captivated to question. The nights together from that night on, he visited me every evening. We shared stories, laughter, and moments of silence that spoke volumes. His presence became the highlight of my days. I didn't care about his absence during daylight, the nights were ours. He never spoke about his past, and I respected his silence. But sometimes, I noticed a sadness in his eyes, a weight he carried but never shared. I wanted to help, to understand, but I remembered his plea and kept my questions to myself. The roses. One morning, I noticed a trail of wilting roses leading from my balcony down to the street. Curious, I followed them through the winding alleys of Charleston, past historic homes and ancient oak trees draped in Spanish moss. The trail led me to a cemetery I had never visited before. The iron gates creaked as I entered, the air heavy with the scent of earth and decay. The roses guided me to a secluded corner, where a cracked tombstone stood beneath a weeping willow. Engraved on the stone were the words, "Beloved, but never buried." Below it was his name. My heart pounded as I stared at the inscription. Questions flooded my mind, but no answers came. The revelation that evening, as I sat on my balcony, he appeared once more. His smile was gentle, his eyes searching mine. "Now you know," he said softly. "Will you still love me?" I didn't respond immediately. My mind raced, trying to comprehend the impossible. He was a ghost, a spirit lingering between worlds. Yet, my feelings for him hadn't changed. "I don't know what this means," I admitted. "But I know how I feel when I'm with you." The unanswered questions. Days turned into weeks, and our nightly meetings continued. I tried to learn more about his past, visiting libraries and archives, searching for any information about him. But records were scarce, and the details of his life remained a mystery. I discovered that the cemetery was known for unmarked graves and forgotten souls. Many believed it to be haunted, but I didn't care. I was drawn to it, to him. The decision. One night, he didn't appear. I waited on the balcony, the hours passing slowly. Worry consumed me. The next evening, he returned, his expression somber. "I can't stay much longer," he said. "My time here is limited." Panic gripped me. "What do you mean? Why?" He looked away, the pain evident in his eyes. "There's a balance, a cycle. I've lingered too long. I couldn't imagine losing him. The thought of returning to nights without his presence was unbearable. Part 8, the choice. He offered me a choice, to let him go and continue living, or to join him in the unknown. I was torn. The life I had built in Charleston, the friends I had made, all seemed insignificant compared to the love I felt for him. But the fear of the unknown held me back. I needed time to decide. The waiting each night, we met, cherishing the moments we had left. I struggled with my decision, weighing the risks and rewards. He never pressured me, understanding the gravity of the choice. As the days passed, I noticed changes in him. He grew fainter, his presence less tangible. Time was running out. The final night on what I knew would be our last night together, we sat in silence, holding hands. The moonlight bathed us in a soft glow. "I love you," I whispered. He smiled, a single tear rolling down his cheek. "And I love you." As dawn approached, he stood, his form shimmering. "Whatever you choose, know that our love transcends time and space." With that, he vanished into the morning mist, leaving me alone on the balcony. After he disappeared that morning, I felt like I was walking through water. Everything around me moved, but I didn't feel part of it. I still sat on the balcony every night, hoping maybe, just maybe, he'd come back. But days passed. Then weeks. One foggy morning, I was walking back from the cemetery when an older man approached me. His clothes were old-fashioned, and he walked with a cane that clicked against the bricks. "You've been visiting the Van Buren grave," he said without looking at me. My chest tightened. "What do you know about it?" He turned slowly. His eyes were cloudy, but serious. "That boy's been dead for 83 years. Drowned just before his wedding." My heart dropped. "You knew him?" He nodded. "I was a child. He was a good man. Died saving someone else." I was too stunned to speak. He continued walking, and I stood there, trying to breathe. That night, I lit a candle in my apartment. I didn't expect him to come back, but he did. "I didn't want you to know that part," he said. His voice trembled. "It wasn't supposed to matter." "It does matter," I said. "You died saving someone. Why didn't you tell me?" He looked tired. "Because it meant I was never coming back. But now, I'm not sure." The second phase. It started a week later. The knock on my window came at the same time, 2:41 a.m., but this time, it wasn't him. A woman stood there. Pale like him. Hair long and wet. She didn't speak, just stared. Her eyes were wild, dark like his but full of rage. I didn't open the window. I froze. She came again the next night. And the next. Always knocking. Always staring. And then one night, she left something behind. A single, black rose. I asked him about her when he finally appeared again. He looked away. Her name was Lila. She was the one I saved. And now she's, what, jealous? I asked. She followed me into death, he whispered. She wasn't supposed to. But she wouldn't let go. Not of me. Not of this world. The warnings begin. The dreams started after that. Dreams of water filling my lungs, cold hands pulling me under, eyes watching me from beneath the surface. Sometimes I'd wake up drenched in sweat. Sometimes I'd wake up with bruises around my ankles. I tried talking to him again, asking what Lila wanted. She thinks I'm hers, he said. She believes I betrayed her by loving you. I didn't even know she existed, I snapped. That doesn't matter to her. I stopped going to the cemetery. I stopped leaving my apartment after dark. But it didn't stop her. I found claw marks on the window frame. Wet footprints in my hallway. One night, I woke up and found her standing at the foot of my bed. She whispered one word before vanishing, mine. Torn between worlds, I started losing track of time. Day and night blurred. I stopped going to work. My phone piled up with unread messages. The world felt farther away every day. He tried to comfort me, but even he looked afraid now. "She's stronger than I am," he said. "Because she crossed on her own. Without rules. She wants me gone," I whispered. "She wants you dead." That word hit like a bullet. I stared at him, shaking. "Then help me. Do something." "I can't fight her in this world," he said. "But I can protect you, if you come with me." I stared at him, heart racing. "You're asking me to die." "I'm asking you to live where I can keep you safe," he said. "Because if you stay here, she will take you." The circle in the basement. I started digging into the history of the building I lived in. Turns out, it was once a boarding house. Then a home for restless girls, in the 1940s. Then abandoned for years. There were rumors of rituals in the basement, of people trying to contact the dead. I went down there with a flashlight. Dust clung to everything. The air smelled like mildew and mold. In one corner, behind a pile of rusted chairs, I found a circle drawn in salt. Burned candles still sat around it, wax melted into the floor. Something had happened here. Something dark. When I touched the edge of the circle, I heard her voice, Lila's, clear and sharp in my ear. "Cross over, or drown." The return of the living. It wasn't just me anymore. My neighbor saw her one night. Said a pale woman stood outside his door, weeping. Then he found every mirror in his apartment cracked. He moved out the next day. Another neighbor's dog vanished. 2 days later, they found it drowned in the fountain at White Point Garden. Lila was spreading. I tried leaving Charleston. Packed a bag, booked a flight. But when I reached the airport, I fainted. A seizure, they said. First time in my life. But I knew it wasn't medical. I knew she wouldn't let me leave. I was trapped. Her true face. One night, I begged him to show me who she really was. He didn't want to. But he agreed. He took my hand, and together we walked back to the cemetery. To her grave, unmarked, sunken into the ground. And then she rose. Not the pale girl I'd seen before, but something darker. Her face twisted. Her skin torn. Eyes like burned-out stars. "She drowned in rage," he said. "And rage kept her here." She screamed. The sound shattered a nearby tombstone. Blood dripped from her fingers. "She'll kill you," he said. "Unless we break the tether." "How?" I asked. "She has to be buried." "But she already is," I said. "No," he whispered. "Her body was never found." The drowned place. We started searching. Records led us to Folly Beach. A storm drain near an old bridge. That's where she jumped, they said. But her body was never recovered. I went there. With him beside me, barely visible in daylight. The smell of the marsh made me gag. Then I saw it, a glimpse of white cloth beneath the water, tangled in roots. I climbed down and started digging. The mud was thick, cold. My hands went numb. And then I touched bone. What was buried, shouldn't have been found. When I touched the bone, the air changed. Not just around me, but inside me. It was like something had slipped under my skin. The air got heavier. The clouds above turned gray. I pulled harder, and what came loose wasn't just a piece of her, it was her. As if I'd awakened her fully. Not just a presence. Not just a ghost. But something old, something angry, and now awake. Behind me, he shouted my name. "Put it back," he cried. "It's too soon." But it was too late. Her body, or what was left of it, floated up from the roots, tangled in moss and seaweed. Her face was half bone, half flesh. One eye still there, wide and clouded. And then she screamed. The sky cracked with thunder. The water boiled around her. She wasn't just a spirit anymore. She had a body now. The pact we didn't know we made back at my apartment, things didn't just feel haunted anymore. They felt wrong. The walls were soft to the touch, like skin. My reflection didn't always move with me. The lights flickered even when turned off. And he was fading. You unsealed her, he said. Now she's free. You told me she had to be buried. She did. But not by you. That's when I learned the truth. The night he died saving Lila. It wasn't a simple rescue. She had pulled him under. She'd begged him to run away with her, leave his fiancée, abandon his family, fake their deaths and start over. When he said no, she jumped. He dove in after her, but by the time he reached her, she wasn't fighting to live. She was fighting to take him with her. He drowned because she wouldn't let go. She thought if we both died together, he said, we belonged to each other forever. And somehow, some way, she made a pact, something that kept her spirit bound here, feeding off guilt, jealousy, and now, me. The truth behind my move. The next twist hit me like a punch. I wasn't the first woman she targeted. There were others. Always the same pattern, someone new to Charleston. Someone grieving, vulnerable. Someone who fell in love with a mysterious figure in the night. And always, someone who disappeared. I dug into local police records. Found one name, Sophie Nance. Went missing in 2004. Last seen in a building 2 blocks from mine. I found an old message board post from her sister. She wrote about Sophie talking to a man no one else could see. She mentioned black roses. Whispers at night. And then, nothing. The sister tried to reach out to a paranormal investigator. He never responded. Because he also disappeared. That's when I realized, she's been doing this for decades. Every time someone new loves him, she wakes up. Every time he tries to move on, she punishes them. A letter from the dead that night, a letter appeared on my kitchen table. No envelope. Just parchment paper, yellowed and wet. The ink was smeared but readable. It was from him. Dated 1928. I write this in fear, it said. I know she's coming. If someone finds this, I beg you, don't let her rise. If she does, the price will be more than death. He had written it right before he died. It wasn't just a drowning. It was a trap. He knew she would follow him in death. He thought writing the warning would stop anyone from repeating the mistake. But somehow, the letter had never surfaced. Until now. I brought it to the local archives. They swore it had never been logged. As if someone, or something, had hidden it. She took my voice that night, I woke up screaming. Or. I thought I was screaming. My mouth was open, throat straining, but no sound came out. I couldn't speak. She had taken my voice. And not just that. My reflection was smiling when I wasn't. My shadow moved even when I was still. She was trying to take my place. I wrote to him in my journal, desperate. She's inside me. I can feel her. I'm changing. He came that night, flickering like a candle about to go out. You're becoming her, he said. She needs a vessel. That's always been the plan. And then I realized the final, awful truth, she never wanted him back. She wanted me, to live through. To use my body to stay in this world. Beautiful. Whole. Breathing. She was never in love. She was always in control. The stranger in my skin. I started forgetting things. Where I put my keys. What day it was. My own name. I'd wake up in clothes I didn't remember putting on. Find wine glasses in the sink when I hadn't drunk anything. Once, I woke up in the cemetery, dirt under my nails. He tried to anchor me, tried to help me remember. He kissed me one night and whispered, "If you forget me, she wins." I carved his name into my wrist with a pocket knife. Not deep. Just enough to remind me. But the next morning, the cut was gone. I was slipping. One last door, there was one last place to check. A house on the outskirts of town. Lila's childhood home. Condemned now, hidden behind overgrown trees. I broke in. Inside, everything was preserved in plastic. Her room looked like it was waiting for her to come home. Dolls lined the shelves. An old vanity mirror. A diary, locked shut. I found the key hidden in the baseboard. Inside the diary were pages soaked in salt. Rituals. Spells. Words written backward. And at the end, scrawled in blood-red ink, "If I can't have him in death, I'll take her in life." I left Lila's house with her diary in my bag. The air outside felt like it was pressing down on me, like hands on my chest. I couldn't breathe right. I knew I had to burn the diary. Every word in it felt cursed, like poison. But I didn't do it right away. Part of me wanted to know what else was in there. Like it was calling to me. That night, she didn't knock on my window. She came through the front door. I never heard it open. I just turned around, and there she was. Wearing my face. Dressed in my clothes. She smiled. "You sleep too much." I ran. Part 27, Breaking Point. I drove straight to the cemetery. I had one plan left. I was going to bury her body myself. I brought shovels. Salt. Her diary. His letter. Everything. He appeared as I started digging. "You don't have to do this alone," he said. "I'm not doing it for me," I said. "I'm doing it for us. For everyone she's hurt." The ground was soft, wet. I dug until my fingers bled. And then I laid her remains in the pit. "She doesn't belong in this world," I said. "And neither do you, not like this." He looked at me, sadness in his eyes. "If she leaves, I go too." I nodded. "I know." Part 28, The Burying. I covered her bones with salt and burned the diary beside the grave. I could hear her screaming, but it wasn't coming from the ground. It was inside my head. "You're mine," she shrieked. I poured the last shovel of dirt and stepped back. The wind stopped. The air grew still. It was like the world held its breath. Then everything went black. Part 29, The Ending, or the Beginning. I woke up 3 days later in a hospital bed. My neighbor found me collapsed on my porch. They told me I'd been muttering strange words in my sleep. My hair had turned white at the roots. My voice didn't come back for a week. He was gone. I haven't seen him since. No more knocks. No more roses. No more cold hands. Just silence. But I dream of him. And in those dreams, he's happy. Whole. Free. As for me, I moved. Far away. Mountains this time. No ocean. No cemeteries. But sometimes, at 2:41 a.m., I feel eyes on me. And once, just once, I found a black rose on my pillow.